Hello, everybody, and welcome to our virtual office hours. We're back, 2024.
Yes.
I would love to introduce you to a staff member that's actually been here for a little while and is transitioning this quickly actually to a full-time role, and we're so excited he's here. This is Aaron Court.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, Aaron, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, recently graduated from UCF.
Go
and Go Knights, Charge on. Planning to go to law school eventually, and taking a gap year. Wanted to do, even environmental law seems really interesting, and started here, and I'm enjoying this position, community or constituent services aide, and I love just engaging with the residents.
Yeah, so it's an exciting thing for me, obviously, to see people who see a path ahead of them, sort of in legal studies, but also when you can combine that with community service, community relations, making, lifting up everybody. I think, lawyers get a bad rap, and I'll say that as a lawyer because I can, but I think what we realize is that the law touches us everywhere all the time as far as the way that we navigate our day to day. And so the place that I think that's the most evident is here in local government. So I'm so excited that you're getting to see that firsthand.
Yes.
I will tell you, as somebody that's watched Aaron on the job for the last few weeks, few months now, how long has it been? 2.5 months. That to watch you interact with our residents makes me feel very grateful to have you here on board. And if you reach out and you give us a call, chances are he'll be on the other end of the phone, and we're really grateful for that. So
thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Any resolutions for yourself?
Oh my gosh, my resolutions are so broad. You don't want to hear about it here. It could be a whole nother show. What about you?
I want to start reading a lot more.
Oh, that's a good one.
Nonfiction books. I like nonfiction mostly,
Yeah.
but just to keep it.
In a gap year, you can do that.
That's true.
Right? Because it's that
Very
time
true.
that all of a sudden you don't have a bunch of text reading.
No.
So that's exciting.
Yeah, it can be text that you actually want to read.
All right, maybe we'll do a D1 book club on of interest things. If you have any suggestions, please let us know what you think we should be reading here.
Yes.
We could do nonfiction items of things that maybe would be interesting for all of us, huh?
Yeah, I like that
Very
idea.
cool.
I really do. And congratulations on the new vice mayor position.
Yeah, thank you.
How does that feel, and what sort of changes do you feel like you'll
Yeah, it's interesting. So I am the vice mayor of Orange County now. Don't worry, I'm still your commissioner.
Yes.
Basically, the way that the county runs under our charter is that we have the one position on our board that is elected at large is our mayor. And of course, we have Mayor Demings, and we have commissioners from districts that are geographically very specific. And then we have a rotating vice mayor position. And so it's an appointed position. My colleagues on the board nominated me. It was a unanimous vote, and I was really honored because that, in effect, is an endorsement that they believe that I'm up for the job, that we're up for the job, because it does entail stepping in to the shoes of the mayor should he not be able to be somewhere. It also has some procedural relevance, and it allows us to engage some of the other staff members here on the floor a little more. So I'm hoping we can make the most of that.
Yes, absolutely. I like that. And tomorrow's a late BCC starting at 1:30, and public hearing starting at 2. Is there anything coming on the pipeline?
Yeah, it's a little weird, right? Usually I'm here telling you, hey, get here early. We got a 9:00 start. This is the one meeting of the year that we do a later start. And I think it's important for people because if you want to come do public comment, we still have public comment on items that are being discussed. It's just going to start at 1:30. Now, our public hearings, which of course are our land use cases or ordinances, they start at 2:00, which means that if you want to come and comment on any of those, you would come at 2. You want to sign in as a speaker, and then of course put on there what you want to speak about. And so, yes, we have a lot of exciting things that are going to be on the agenda. It's not as packed as some of our full days, but of course, District 1 has some specific cases. And then I want to make sure for those of you that engage with us during the community block grant community meetings, that'll be coming in front of the board tomorrow. And I know you came out to the Williamsburg meeting.
Yes.
And got to meet some of our residents. We also did one in the Tildenville area. And what this is it's federal funding to help us recover from Hurricane Ian in ways that we weren't able to do with our regular funding sources. So what we're trying to do is make sure, first of all, we don't leave any money on the table, right? Because that doesn't make any sense. If there's money to be put into a community, it's coming to my community, and I'm going to fight for that. The second piece of this is that really Hurricane Ian presented problems that we really needed money ahead of time to get some resiliency and put into place. But what we've learned now is that in order to get resilient for the next one, we're going to have to invest in some places, some smaller projects, some services that weren't contemplated with other funding sources. And so this is going to give us that opportunity, and there'll be a full report tomorrow afternoon. Please tune in at 2 for the public hearings. This one is actually, I think, last in the lineup, so it'll be later in the day, but we certainly will take public comment from you if there is some feedback that you would like to give, or if you didn't get a chance to come out really for one of the community meetings on those community block grants. It's certainly an opportunity to engage.
I like that. And also talking about the proclamations tomorrow.
Yes.
What events will be there?
Yeah, so one of the things I think is really a nice part of being a local government and an elected official are the opportunities to show very visible support to potentially causes that are important and to entities that are important and things that we want to make everybody more aware of. So proclamations are largely symbolic, but they're really meaningful. And tomorrow we have one that really acknowledges the fight against poverty. And that is every day something that there are people all across our county that struggle with, all across our state, country, and world. And, if you're not one of those, then feel blessed, feel thankful, and then maybe think about what we can do for everyone else. And so that allows us to do that as a board. The proclamation allows us to really publicly state that we need to continue to make an awareness about poverty. It's complex, right? Poverty isn't something that people sign up for. Sometimes it can be because of an illness that people are forced into poverty. There's generational poverty that we're trying to make sure that because of lack of educational opportunities or employment opportunities that we need to pull people back up from. And those are all things that we can engage different community groups on. And so this is a proclamation that allows us to address that and make it part of our day and talk about it. The other one is MLK Day, which we have coming up, and very exciting events that are tied to that. My office is going to be making it a day of service, and I'm so excited that we are all going to be going out and actually doing some work in that space of trying to lift folks in poverty on that service day, because I think Martin Luther King Jr. taught us all something about all of us pitching in, helping rise. I would say the most vulnerable amongst us is where we should all start and do that lift. And so a day of service feels the most authentic. I know it's a day off from work and a day off from school, and that's awesome too, but I'm really excited that my team was all in on going out and using that time to do something great in the community. And then we have a couple big parades, right? We have the Orange County Parade on Saturday, and then on Monday, Winter Garden has its parade. So, there are lots of good things to commemorate sort of the victories, but then also really reestablish the goals moving forward in making the dream a reality. Because I think a lot of people love to quote Martin Luther King Jr., but we need to live it, right? And that's a daily thing.
That's good. Sort of like our resolutions. They can't just be beginning of the year.
That's right.
And these proclamations really complement each other well.
That's exactly it.
That's
good. Absolutely. Yeah.
For the January 23rd BCC, few things coming on the pipeline.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? So it's nice here in December because it's a little less packed, and then we hit that January and it's like boom, right out of the cannon. And so yes, tomorrow we have an afternoon Board of County Commission. We're hoping not to be here too late, but who knows. But the very next one on January 23rd will be a little busier. For those of you that have been following the Carina Parkside PD, this is a parcel close to the Jewish Community Center in the Dr. Phillips area. I know that it's been of concern to some residents down there. We actually have our community meeting coming up on January 10th, and I believe that's at Sand Lake Elementary School. And you're invited to that. It should allow the applicant to address any questions the public has. And then it comes back on January 23rd for the Board of County Commission to take a look at and discuss. And then the January 23rd meeting also, I believe, includes the Visit Orlando discussion. Hopefully we're going to put this tourist development tax issue to bed because I think that we're all tired of talking about it. It's been very, I think it's been emotional for a lot of people. There's a lot of need out in our community, and we're talking about millions and millions of dollars, being spent potentially on things that don't feel that they provide quality of life for the people who are in need, or even really the residents that are here every day. That being said, our tourist development tax dollars were legislatively regulated and written into the statutes to be put back into tourism. So there are definitely options that we can utilize where that still benefits our residents, right? We look at investments that we've made in the past into arts and culture, and to events that we know both attract tourists and also really help support our community in a grassroots way and in a way that is meaningful to people in their neighborhood. So, I'm hoping at the end of this, we're not going to make everybody happy. It's not an endless supply of funds, but I'm hoping that at the end we can look back and say, well, look, we bolstered our arts and cultural affairs. We made sure that some of our smaller entities got more funding, and that we were thoughtful about the spending for the rest.
Absolutely.
No secret, I wasn't on board with the initial large ticket item vote for the convention center. I continue to believe that we needed more information about that project, but I'm not going to take my eye off it. You know me, everything that comes across the desk, any penny that goes out of here, I need it accounted for. I need to know how it's going to help our residents and our community.
I agree. And then the Temple on Hempel project is.
Oh, this is my Gotha residents. Okay, so. For those of you that were engaged in this hearing the last time, this was something that really has been ongoing. The BAPS community, the BAPS Temple, we love the BAPS Temple, and it is an absolute joy to have them consider living or working in D1 and having their temple in D1. Early on, there was meetings with some of the folks from the congregation, and I said, just be careful, because I know that this is something that's going to be a large-scale project. Our rural settlements are really sensitive, and especially if they don't have sewer or if there's water drainage issues. And so there has been some back and forth about the location that they are requesting. We had a community meeting. It was very vibrant. This was months and months ago. This is before your time. And then we had a hearing, and at that hearing, it was still a very large project in a rural community. And so I actually made a motion for denial because there hadn't been any movement on the size of the project or really modifying it to try to fit the community. And I wasn't able to get a second to my motion, and there was a continuance. And so in the meantime, the applicant's team was nice enough to meet with a small group of residents to talk through some of the issues. And it does come back to the Board of County Commission on January the 23rd. It's going to be a really busy day. So we've got TDT, Temple on Hempel,
and Carina Parks.
And Carina Parkside. So District 1. I know that we'll be talking between now and then, because I'm going to come right back here and do this again next week. But if you have any questions about any of those cases, obviously those are quasi-judicial. The afternoon cases are usually quasi-judicial, right? A land use case. Because there is an applicant that's got due process rights. And so I just want to make sure that I'm being very fair and giving people equal time and equal amount of the ability to access me. So please reach out if you have any questions or concerns. And I disclose all of that right there on the dais, because that's what we're supposed to do as we move forward and consider what our comprehensive plan and our zoning laws require us to consider as we look at those.
Certainly. There's two more hot topics. It's Split Oak on February 6th.
Oh, yes.
And the CRC.
Oh, we love an acronym here. So the CRC, of course, is the Charter Review Commission. And I love that Aaron is like picking this up like this.
Slowly.
No, really fast, right? I always talk about the ABCs of the BCC, and we should have a glossary, but Charter Review, really quick recap for you if you haven't been following along, is every 4 years we have the opportunity as a charter county in Florida to go back and actually look at opportunities that may have been needed in our county charter. In the past, the charter has spoken to items, as broad as procedural items of how the county addresses issues, all the way to special protections for environmental areas. So it's really something that citizens have driven and continue to drive. We actually, as commissioners, all appoint somebody. I have an amazing appointee on the CRC, or two appointees on the CRC, who have worked very hard, and it is a ongoing process. So the Charter Review Committee will meet again for the general meeting. They're discussing a rural boundary, which is something that Seminole County has. If you Google Seminole County's rural boundary, it kind of gives you an idea of what they've been discussing. They've also been discussing how to implement some kind of charter language to continue to bolster our housing trust fund. They've continued to have discussions about transit, which I thought was really interesting. They've talked about government structure. And, I mentioned at the top of the show about the strong mayor form of government. And they've talked about that and the balance of power. It's sort of unusual to have an executive and a legislative branch on the same board, and especially in a state where we have sunshine laws. And I fundamentally agree with the idea of sunshine laws, which prevent backroom dealing. I can't, go down the hallway and work out a deal with one of the other commissioners. Anytime we meet about something that's going to be voted on, it has to be public. It has to be agended, it has to be noticed, and it has to be recorded. The minutes have to be recorded, not necessarily visually or audibly recorded, but minutes. And so the reality of it is that the federal government, at the state government, the legislative and executive branches can talk. They can talk, they can negotiate, they can talk about legislative issues. We don't have that luxury here. And so there are times that I think it doesn't serve us well to not be able to access our executive. And so I think it's been a great discussion. I don't know what the outcome's going to be, but I really appreciate the work that committee's done on the structure of Orange County government.
That's very good. Then lastly, we want to talk about some dates to remember for our residents. So first one being Karina Parkside. Of course, it's coming to the BCC.
It's coming to the BCC, but this is the part I want to make sure we're being super clear. So sorry to repeat myself, but the community meeting is coming up on the 10th. Mm-hmm. And then
6 p.m.
at 6 p.m. at Sand Lake Elementary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes to the BCC on the 23rd. So those are two opportunities for the public to engage. And that's Karina Parkside is that development plan that was brought forward many, many years ago. But this is a portion of it down close to the JCC area. We know it's been of great concern to the Dr. Phillips residents, so we want to make sure that we're getting that information out to you.
Most definitely. And following that, the Orange County Martin Luther King Parade.
Yes.
On the 13th.
At 10 o'clock?
10 a.m.
Downtown, right down here. It's such a blast. I enjoy it. The spirit of community. Last year, I will tell you, it was freezing cold. I felt like we were in New York or Chicago, which was kind of fun too, because to be in a crisp city instead of the sweaty city is kind of fun.
Nice.
We all had hot cocoa. And without fail, I always run into people I haven't seen in a long time. It always just feels like our big small town. So enjoy great family day. Come on down for that.
Yeah, because we can't normally get that during Christmas, the winter experience. So having it in January.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
And the 15th, we have the Winter Garden Parade.
Yes.
And that's at 11 a.m.
Yeah, and last year, the Winter Garden Parade is a slightly newer one for MLK Day. But last year it was really nice because they had those local community groups come out, and which reminds me, I want to shout out, big thank you to our community groups in the Winter Garden area that do participate in that day and continued service all the time. I recently had the opportunity to meet with Hope Massey, and they are participating that day. There'll be many of those organizations that, if you wonder who does the work in the community, go out to that parade and you'll get to meet them, because I know afterwards they'll have some tents, some booths set up with more information for people that maybe need some support or people who want to volunteer, and everything in between. So it should be a great event.
Yes, indeed. And the community meeting for Karina Parkside,
that's the 10th.
As we mentioned.
Yep. We're going to keep saying it just in case, because nothing makes me more frustrated than when people are like, I didn't know. I'm like, well, I'll say it 30 times. So
very true. The community cleanup on January 19th.
Yeah, so we're going to try to do a series of these or more of these, but we're starting out with a community cleanup. This one, it is a weekday, which I know is tricky, but if you have some time, we'd love for you to join us. We have a volunteer link that Drew will be sending out. And it's going to be sort of in the Winter Garden, Tildenville area. It's going to be, basically a couple of city blocks, or, not too much geographical area. We're providing the pickup thingies. I don't know what they're called. The pickup thingies.
Tongs,
the gloves, the bags, and I just think it's a great way to kind of get out, especially this time of year where the weather is cooler, and make sure that we have everyone's neighborhoods and streets looking beautiful.
Absolutely.
So that when the flowers start coming in spring, that we can see them all. And it always feels just kind of good to be out there. We get to meet other people. And so it's a volunteer opportunity, it's a cleanup opportunity, pickup opportunity, and we are looking for volunteers. So please reach out if you're interested.
That'll be at 9:30.
9:30, yes.
And then we have the Community Advisory Committee, looking for people to sign up for that as well.
Yeah, this is with MetroPlan. So as a board member on MetroPlan Orlando, it's something that I try to tell people about all the time, that there are opportunities for citizens to have positions on volunteer boards. And it's something that if you are interested in walkable, bikeable communities, if you're interested in mass transit, if you're interested in transportation and how we're going to grow into the next decade, generation, please consider volunteering for this position. It requires, some of your time, and it's a unpaid volunteer board position, but they take that into effect when they create policy. So it is part of the equation of really looking at what's going to go into their priority list for the next year.
That's good. That's really good.
Reach out if you have any questions. I know that I did share something on social media about it, but we'll reshare it.
Yeah, and that'll be on the 26th.
Well, that's the deadline. So the application's all online, but there's a deadline. If you're interested in applying for that, do it by the 26th.
Good. Thank you. The Vision Zero community meeting, Thursday, January 18th at 6:30.
Yeah, this is a good tie-in for MetroPlan. So Vision Zero, of course, is another sort of victory, I'm going to say it, that we took last year to implement, actually 2 years now, because I guess it was in 2022, to implement a goal to no longer accept anyone's injury or death as a result of a collision between a bicycle or pedestrian and a car. And the reality of it is that research has shown again and again and again that these things were avoidable and preventable. But we are lacking the infrastructure, the education, and really there's been a lack of will. There's kind of had been this culture of like, well, that's bound to happen.
Right.
And as it turns out, in all over the world, in places that implemented Vision Zero strategies, they've seen a marked decrease in this type of injury or casualty, and that is the goal. So I'm going to continue to push on it. I know that when we enacted it as a board, I had some great bike advocates say, well, what is the point, Commissioner Wilson? This sounds like it's just on paper. Well, it starts on paper, but that paper then allows me to say, we have to abide by this when we go to design.
Yeah.
And we have to abide by this when we look at where we're spending money on, raised crosswalks or lights for intersections. So, we are going to have public meetings about the Vision Zero plan that are coordinated actually through MetroPlan. And so that's going to be coming up on, what was the date again?
January 18th.
January 18th. It's at the JCC. They were kind enough to donate their beautiful event space because we wanted something big enough to really accommodate the whole community, because that's going to be it for all of District 1. But, Dr. Phillips area, and specifically that area down there, has really had a lot of challenges with this, where pedestrian crosswalks weren't necessarily safe for pedestrians. And so this seemed to me to be a really important place to hold that particular meeting. So
Right.
Please consider coming out and sharing your opinions that evening. We'll be continuing to try to make sure we remind you about it. And if you have any questions, reach out.
Yeah, because it's a lot of dates to remember.
It's a lot of dates to remember.
Before mentioning the last point, wanted to remind everyone to sign up for the newsletter, to subscribe to that as well. But
Yes. Thank you, Aaron.
Absolutely.
Very important, because our newsletter is our connection. You probably got the one that comes before the BCC today. We apologize for the late upload of that, but with the new year came a new credit card, and I had to update the expiration date. So that all went out, and hopefully you've got all the information that goes in that. My ask of you, if you're watching this and you know that you get the newsletter, but that your community maybe doesn't, is that you remind people in your HOA newsletter to sign up for that newsletter, or on your Facebook book club, or your whatever it is, because I think it's really important that that we have the ability to reach people directly, and it's the most direct way for us to be able to reach people. So they can do that at NicoleWilson.org, or if you have any questions, email us district1@ocfl.net. And a lot of times you will get Aaron on the other end of that email. And so, we look forward to having all those questions answered.
Absolutely. And we also have a weather concern.
Oh,
coming up.
yes. Last minute thing. Just want to make sure that you are aware. We did get an alert from our Emergency Operations Center here in Orange County, of course, is they have 24/7. They're watching things that could be potential emergencies for you. And so I always tell people when I meet them, sleep better at night knowing that our emergency operations crew is top notch. Our technology is top notch, and we're just really lucky to have them. I feel so grateful. Got an email today that they are keeping an eye out on a weather event for tomorrow afternoon, potentially into the overnight. There is some concern for high winds, tornado, and thunderstorms. I think it's important, of course, if you are somebody who is a commuter or has an occupation that puts you out into the elements, please use caution tomorrow. Tune in to your weather radio or to our local news outlets to get updates. And if you have any questions, make sure to reach out. We will connect you with anybody that we can in the emergency operations world. And just be safe out there. Take your time. Leave early if you have to, but take your time.
And it's just a great warning of preparation for those that are going to be coming for the public comment tomorrow.
Absolutely.
For the BCC. So just that they can be made aware.
I know. I hate that it's coming in the afternoon, and I hate that maybe we in Florida, right? You never know; it could be off a few hours, and I do hope that it doesn't deter people from coming. But if you feel like you're going to be in harm's way, please just reach out. Let me know what your concerns are, and I will take those to the board. I don't want people to be in harm's way to make public comment. I already feel like it's a burden.
Yes.
Which reminds me of something else that I wanted to make sure that I told you all about. So we are restarting district office hours. If you are interested in setting an appointment for district office hours, of course, what that is I rotate throughout the community in District 1. I think it's a burden to ask residents to come downtown. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I've tried to do is to meet residents where they are in Winter Garden, Windermere, Horizon West, Hunters Creek. And so we're going to continue, Dr. Phillips, so we're going to continue that tradition in 2024. Stay tuned for a link for sign up. I think the next one we have may be in the Hunters Creek area, but if you are a Winter Garden resident and you want to come to the Horizon West one, feel free. I had residents that work in one area and saw my office hours were in a different area. So they just did what worked for them. And that's the point. The point is really that it be convenient for you. Because I believe, that even though Orlando is our county seat, to drive here from Williamsburg or from the Four Corners area, it's a big haul. And I don't want you to feel like you can't access your district commissioner because of that drive. Or transit.
Yeah. Thank you. And I think that's really
That's
all.
it?
Absolutely.
Look at us. Yay!
Brilliant.
Well, Aaron, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you think we can do this weekly?
Absolutely.
All right. So you heard that. I got a commitment, and
Did you talk about the open house?
oh, I almost forgot. Thank you,
Ooh,
Drew.
very
Drew's
good.
behind the camera where he's really comfortable. Remember when he was on the couch? He did a great job. I want to
That's
say
good.
that. And much like Hannah was not as comfortable there as he is on the computer doing all the technical part of it. But a reminder also, we have coming up open house and job fair here downtown. So for those people who do want to come downtown and take a look at our office here, last year, I will tell you, it was one of our favorite events. And so I'm so excited that we're doing it again. All the departments that we're hiring, which by the way is all the departments, set up stations downstairs. We had corrections in chambers. We had convention center in the atrium. We had Orange County Fire and Rescue out on the front lawn. I believe the sheriff's department was here. We had everybody here, Public Works, utilities. And then we had the time and availability of staff and commissioners in the mayor's office to come upstairs and do tours, small group tours, and answer questions about sort of the procedural part of this. And it was really exciting to be able to show people where we work for you every day, because that's the reality, is that we finally got to let the boss in so the boss can see around, and get a really good feel for the way that it looks here. So please participate in that. What date it's January?
Saturday the 20th at 10 a.m.
Saturday, January, it's going to be a very busy month. Saturday, January 20th at 10 a.m. and maybe I'll put out snacks. I don't know.
That's.
I mean, I'm not
that's
trying to
great.
I'm not trying to lure anybody to my
No,
office, but
never.
but snacks are always good, right? That's a mid-morning thing.
It is.
So yeah, exactly. So thank you for that reminder, and we look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Thank you for tuning in. Have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of your day. Stay safe.